620 WSUN, St. Petersburg, Tampa, Clearwater. Like a cheap date that always puts out. Now back to Lassiter on AM 620 WSUN, entertaining talk radio.
Minutes after the hour of 3 o'clock. Welcome back. Hour number 2 for a Tuesday, October the 3rd, 1995. It is over, I guess.
His part.
Wrong is wrong. If you got the money, that was good for him. If it was me, I wouldn't have had the money. I couldn't have defended, the prosecution. You don't have no way to stack up against that.
Dude, I earn a well above average income, and there's no way in hell I could have stood toe-to-toe with them. No way.
But
I had been wiped out in the first week.
Would that have made you more guilty just because you wouldn't have had the funds?
Exactly. And that's what is intolerable in this country. It's what we cannot put up with.
It's the excuses that people make. Instead of looking at what it is, they want to make it into what gut feeling. Gut feeling, oh, yeah, he had to do it. He had to do it. Who else could have done it? That's, it's just, I don't know. It's very frustrating, and I think the right verdict was made. Not saying he didn't do it. Who can tell? There's no evidence to say that he did, but we just have to accept what the jury said, and I guess, and try to work around that, and I don't know.
Okay, dude.
All right, thanks.
Hey, be good.
Bye.
576 WSUN in Pinellas and Hillsborough, 221 WSUN, and of course, toll free 1-800-356-WSUN, 16 minutes after 3.
Stay tuned for Gary Spivey tonight, 6 till 8 p.m. on AM 620 WSUN, entertaining talk radio.
Something for us. And Marcia Clark hopes O.J. will confess. Cameras showing pictures that shouldn't have been showing, yeah. And now the jury sees O.J. undressed. O.J. will be walking, and that's just what he'll do. One of these days, O.J. is gonna walk out that courtroom. Who is lying? Who is telling the truth then? Cochrane's speaking, and Marcia's having a fit. Ito's saying things here better be changing, yeah. It's a circus, a whole big media mess. O.J. will be walking, and that's just what he'll do. But one of these days, O.J. is gonna walk out that courtroom. Start walking, O.J.
21 minutes after the hour of 3 o'clock, or about 3:21. You got to sign up for the pay-per-view interview?
I'd watch it if I... no, I don't...
No, that's not what I asked. Are you going to sign up for it, you know?
We don't have a cable box.
Well, all you have to do is stop down at the office and pick one up.
With Bill Hoyt and Greg Cunningham. Saturday mornings from 7 to 8. Don't miss it.
We don't need to talk. Just moan so we know you enjoy it. AM 620 WSUN.
Without permission, it's a pathetic condition. Encore TV, for all to see. Encore TV, for all to see.
3:37 the time, about 23 minutes away from the hour, 4 o'clock. Let's go right back.
Sure, when it comes to sex, you're responsible. But now they're marketing big-size condoms, and frankly, you'd need a belt and suspenders to keep one on. Well, don't be embarrassed. Hot Dog House now offers regular-size condoms with big-size package names.
Bob, you dropped something from your wallet.
Oh, my God, it's
Here. Oh, the Hindenburg.
Only kind I use.
Order your regular-size condoms from Hot Dog House with names that give you confidence. The Jolly Mean Giant, Cruise Missile, Pikes Peak, Superdome. Only you'll know the real story. But for a while.
So, why is there a munchkin riding in the Hindenburg?
3:50 the time. I think it's more than time.
Some figure that even comes close to $9 million. Where in the hell do they spend that money on?
I have no idea. I have no idea at all.
I mean, don't you think that's a little... I mean, if I take Judge Ito's salary,
actually,
the lawyers...
his salary is not included in the $9 million because his salary is paid by the state.
I mean, the rent on the courthouse. I mean, the $3,000 chair he's sitting in. I mean, the police investigators' salaries, lab rent. I mean, how in the world can they possibly spend $9 million?
I have no idea, but that's the accounting.
Isn't that weird?
It's an incredible amount of money. It is the entire budget for the district attorney's office in California last year was approximately $150 million.
Right.
So this is over 5% of the entire budget.
Sounds to me like they're like paying themselves. That maybe they haven't lost that much money at all. Maybe it's just gone from one account into another, but it's still within the city.
There were an awful lot of people who were assigned to this case, and of course the type of lab work they had done and had done over and over again, repeated, was very, very expensive. It's cutting edge technology type of work.
Sure, but $9 million.
Well, just the jury alone, I believe, is close to $1 million.
Just the jury? What?
Yeah, just the sequestering of the jury.
Okay.
Is close to $1 million. That alone.
Huh. Well, anyway, this 4-hour verdict, it wouldn't have surprised me if it had gone 4 weeks. But 4 hours doesn't surprise me either. If you think about maybe a similar sort of case where the defendant may be a little less well-heeled, as well as the city budget may not be so well-heeled, they're not going to have the time or the money to go into evidence in such detail. I mean, look at the time this trial took. I mean, there were no questions left for the jury. They explained every nuance of the case in detail. They literally gave them the answers to the test.
Well, whatever the prosecution did, they did something wrong.
Yeah.
Because I have to believe, and at least that's the way my mind works, and it's the only thing I can really go on. I have to believe the prosecution lost it as opposed to the defense winning it.
Right.
You know, the defense raised lots of questions, lots of reasonable doubt, but by the very definition of the word doubt, you've got to talk it out.
Well, it looks to me like they just didn't let the jury participate in the game. The game is they lay out the evidence, in a broader spectrum, and then they let the jury go pick at the details and come up with a verdict. In this case, they left that part of the game out. They literally picked the evidence apart for them and left them with no option. I
can't wait for the books.
Yeah.
Can't wait for the books. I mean, that's the only... God, I hope they're out in time for Christmas, because, boy, that's going to be on my list.
Hey, listen, one other favor. Can you go in the office there and pick up my free cigars? I can't get by there in business hours, and I'll just come by your house and pick them up.
Oh, okay.
Fraud.
Take care. 576 WS1 in Pinellas, Hillsborough. Have you been offering free cigars again, Jeffy?
No,
God almighty.
This does, It's probably what he meant.
Oh.
Of course.
576 WS1 in Pinellas, Hillsborough, 221 WSUN. I am just beginning to calm down from the nervousness. I mean, I got caught, what was it, about 11:30, I think the coverage started. Mm-hmm. And really when we can really sit down and look at this objectively, and what was just bizarre. An hour and a half countdown to the verdict. 52 minutes left to the verdict. 39 minutes left to the verdict, and...
It went on from this morning, like the Today Show. Didn't end when it usually does.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
That's why I said Katie Couric's probably about to fall on her face.
I had no idea. I didn't turn the television on that early.
Yes, they didn't end. They didn't go to sleep after their show this morning. Katie and Bryant Gumbel were still at it.
Well, what a fitting end
live.
What a fitting end to the circus is that there was a 1 o'clock Eastern time, so it started at 7 o'clock Eastern time. What the hell is that? A 6-hour countdown to the verdict?
Mm-hmm. I was wondering how they were going to fill that long.
Let's do St. Petersburg. Hi, St. You're on the air at WSUN.
How's it going, sir?
Going great.
Well, one thing I thought about, it took me a while to realize is, the thing is, like, all the view and opinion that we had was facts plus other people's opinion.
Right.
Because every time there's a break, we had to listen to some kind of commentator's opinion, some professional's opinion. Mm-hmm. But the jury had nothing.
Wise asses like me, right, the amateurs.
Yeah, you're more interesting to listen to than those people, so of course I'm going to believe what somebody like yourself says. But the jury had nothing to listen to but what happened in that courtroom. And the people just don't understand that. I mean, I feel that if we heard nothing but what the jury said, then our opinions would probably be more swayed towards to the verdict of not guilty.
Well, it started to dawn on me a day or two ago that I might not agree. Well, let me rephrase that. The verdict that is rendered might not be the verdict that I would have rendered. And I had to sit down and prepare myself for that. And it was remarkably easy. I'm considering how much time I've devoted to this. God almighty. It was really relatively easy when I sat down and said, well, wait a second. First of all, their opinion is the only opinion that counts, no matter what it is. And secondly, as much as I've heard, I've only heard a small fraction of what they've heard. And so I just, therefore, must go with whatever they say.
Yeah.
Because they are the ones who, really took it seriously, and the only people who really heard all of it.
Yes.
And so therefore I said, well, no matter what they say, I got to go with it. May be a disappointment to my intellect, but it can't be anything other than that. Whatever they say, that's it. Over and done with it. It amazes me how many people can't let go of that.
Plus, they claim to have all this evidence, but it seems like they just threw all these little words out and they had nothing.
No, I beg your pardon. There was a fair amount of evidence. Unfortunately, it was just all questionable evidence.
Yes.
Either in the gathering or the presentation or the handling thereof. It was all very questionable. That's the problem.
Yes. I mean, because you would think, from the start, they knew that they're dealing with a celebrity. You would think common sense would tell you, you better take extra care of what's going on.
Well, they took
the media.
They took several opportunities during the course of the trial to tell us that is precisely the way they handled it. From the very first instant that they discovered the crime scene, and they stopped several times during the trial to tell us, oh, yes, well, no, we knew this was a biggie. Oh, no, this one got priority. No, this one was handled differently. God almighty, and every time they said that, they were driving another nail into their coffin.
If that was priority, I hate to see what the low priority is.
Here, here. Exactly.
All right, well, thanks for listening to me.
Hey, my pleasure. 576 WSUN, Pinellas, Hillsborough, 221 WSUN. It's 4:15.
Talk Radio. First, there was Old Yeller. Then there was Benji, followed by Oh Heavenly Dog, Beethoven second. And now it must be summer again because Paramount Pictures presents another damn dog movie.
Look, Mommy, he followed me home. Can we keep him?
Well, I don't know, Billy.
I don't know, Billy. Oh, yeah, right, like she's not going to let him keep him. This is another damn dog movie, lady. Like, what else are we going to do for the next 2 hours? So they keep the dog, some heartwarming adventures ensue, blah, blah, blah. You know the drill. Come on, it's another damn dog movie.
Mommy, Duke ran away in the storm. We gotta find him.
Yeah, nice name. Duke. That's original. And that storm, yeah, there's a nice touch. Hey, maybe the dog will die. You think he might die? Somehow I doubt it. Yeah, like I'm giving something away here. It's another damn dog movie for crying out loud.
He came home. Duke came home. And he saved the day.
No, did he? Imagine that. Look, you seen one damn dog movie, you seen them all, so you might as well see this one, too. Another damn dog movie coming soon to a theater near you. Hey, I'll tell you a dog movie I'd like to see. Dog gets pancaked by a semi. That's one I want to see. God, I hate dog movies.
You want to go see that one, Sherry? 576 WSUN in Pinellas, Hillsborough, 2. You're not?
You'd be starring in it. Huh. You would. You'd be driving that truck. Probably.
576 WSUN in Pinellas, Hillsborough, 221 WSUN. And, of course, toll free. 1-800-356-WSUN. Let us do Sarasota. Hi, Sarasota. You're on the air at WSUN.
How you doing today, Bob?
Doing fine, thank you.
Good. I'd like to make a proposal. First off, I think they ought to take and do away with the way they're doing the defense in the trials today. I think they ought to spend an equal amount of money on defense as they do on the prosecution. I think they ought to both be appointed by the state. And if your defendant's found guilty, then he can go ahead and pay the tab. What do you think about that?
Well, what if he doesn't have the money?
What if he doesn't have the money? If he doesn't have the money, the state picks it up anyway.
Yeah, okay.
True. And secondly, I'd like to say I think he's guilty as he can be. There's no doubt about it.
Based on what? What do you mean there's no doubt about it?
There's no doubt about it. I think he's guilty. I mean...
Based on what?
Well, you're going to have an awful lot of people who would have been involved in setting him up. I can't see that Furman had enough time to go and do all that. Even if there was a...
Do all what?
Do it. All the different blood evidence and all the...
How much different blood evidence is there?
Well, you're talking about the Bronco that was...
7/10 of a drop.
7/10 of a drop, but you're talking about 3 weeks time period there, right?
Uh-huh.
That it wasn't looked at. It wasn't being watched. And you're looking at the gloves, and he had to collect the gloves. He had to do all of that. I mean, the guy just never had a time. He never had time to do all of that.
Uh-huh.
Unless he had some help.
Yeah.
I just don't see that you're going to have a police department like Los Angeles is really going to get itself involved in something like that. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, no, it doesn't make any sense to me. The police department did, but it does make sense to me that conceivably one or two additional sick individuals like Furman did.
Well, why hadn't it been caught before? I mean, come on, the guy's been on the department for a long time.
Why hasn't it been caught before? Because very few criminal defendants have millions upon millions of dollars to hire excellent investigators.
Which supports my original point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I can't blame Furman and different people like that for feeling the way they do feel when you've got basically 10% of the population and they're creating perhaps 90% of the crime.
You can't blame Furman for feeling that, white women shouldn't go out with black...
No, I wasn't referring to that. I'm talking about, when you're doing your job every day and you see the same race or the same people who are doing the same damn thing, they're creating all the problems.
Yeah, all the problems.
Maybe
yeah,
not all
the white people don't cause any problems at all in Los Angeles. No, you shouldn't have.
But you know what I'm talking about.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. Don't try to put me in the same boat with you, dude. Did I say something funny?
I think that it's been pretty much proven that the blacks...
There's only one thing that's been proven so far in this conversation.
Okay, go ahead. Let's hear it.
Well, I think it's evidence, sir.
Well, I'm sorry. But I have the right to feel the way I feel, just like everybody else does.
Of course you do.
Thank you.
.576 WSUN in Pinellas, Hillsborough, 221 WSUN. Let's go to Ruskin. Hi, Ruskin, you're on the air at WSUN. Ruskin once. Ruskin twice.
Hey.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about the first time. Love you all. Love you all. But, now, Bob, I've been listening to you. Are you ready to take a hike to the woods? To get away from all this?
What are you talking about, sir?
All the nonsense. Like, people don't understand when they reach the decision, that's the way it is, whether we like it or not. Like you say, we elected them to do that.
No, we didn't elect them to do it.
We didn't?
No.
Well, no, I thought that's the way it went from the beginning of our time. So we got a jurisdiction system.
Call us back after you sober up at Tad. I guess he's still celebrating. Speaking of celebrating, is your faith restored, OJ man from Clearwater?
Hello.
Hi.
Bob, you know, I'm not going to say I told you so, because you already knew that. But Sharon?
Yes.
I told you, honey, trials are not based on meatloaf menus.
Well, Tyrone, honey, I just have a hard time about the decision because he used to beat the crap out of her and stalk her and did all kinds of weird things that just aren't normal.
Sharon, I don't condone beating up on nobody. But the bottom line is beating the crap out of your old lady don't make you a murderer.
No,
it makes you off with some counseling. They deemed he was healed.
As we do with most, people who beat up on women.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's not even an issue. And O.J. Simpson didn't beat up on Nicole because she was some blonde cutie.
Well, wait a second. Let me come back and correct something when you say it's not an issue. You're right, it isn't an issue, but it should be an issue because it is generally considered in this country, even though we obviously pay lip service in the other direction, but it is generally considered in this country that a man has a right to beat up his wife. We all protest and say, oh, nay, 1,000 times nay. We don't agree with that type of behavior. But clearly from the way we deal with it, which is basically a slap on the wrist, we do approve of it. So hopefully this will make it more of an issue.
Bob, let me tell you something. Any Anglos out there who beat up on their wife need to be ashamed of themselves, as well as any African-American and Orientals and all the other nationalities I'm not going to waste time to mention. Mm-hmm. But let us remember this. This I know for a fact. That back when there were slaves in this country, and they were not just black slaves, people tend to forget that the Orientals were actually indentured servants as well, and that's a slave as far as I'm concerned. And there were a lot of white slaves. But anyway, back in those days, a slave wasn't allowed to beat his wife, because his wife did not even belong to him. So I could go so far as to say it's maybe 140 years ago, the only women who were being beaten were white women being beaten by white men, and maybe some black women who were being beaten by white men. But that's not even beside the point. The bottom line is this jury had to go on the law. The defense raised too much reasonable doubt, and as I've been saying all along, I personally don't know if the man is guilty or innocent. But if I was been sitting on that jury, I would have to vote not guilty because the prosecution did not prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. And a lot of people get hung up on, but there's so much blood evidence. Yeah, but the blood evidence had problems, so we had to throw that out. Well, then you get to the Bronco. The Bronco had chain of custody problems, so you had to throw that out. But then there's the glove behind his home. Well, unfortunately, the man who found the glove is a member of the Nazi Party, and he believes in genocide, and he's anti-woman, he's anti-black, he's anti-everything except Anglo police officers. So this case had never had a chance from the beginning. As strong as that evidence was, they just managed to screw it up. And I honestly believe, Bob, I agree with you when you said once before, that in the early stages, when they felt this man was a suspect and they didn't have enough evidence on him, not the prosecution, the police, they should have backed off, not arrested this man and not charged him, collected the blood evidence, sent it off to a lab to be tested, got the results back, shared them with the defense, and then requested his blood sample. Because he voluntarily gave that. Now, just think, if they had done it that way and got his blood sample after the DNA test had already been done, and it came back his blood...
Which, by the way, my understanding, I could be incorrect about this, but I don't think I am. My understanding of the law is it's not a matter of requesting his blood sample. It's ordering it.
Right. Well, like I say, I mean, the man, that's what struck me all along. This man voluntarily gave his blood. This man voluntarily gave his statement. This man voluntarily wanted to cooperate. And like I say, if this man was guilty, if he committed these crimes and then he came back and he was this cooperative, then he committed these crimes and he knew he had gotten away. He knew he had not left 2 gloves laying at 2 different crime scenes. He knew he didn't leave a knit cat laying behind. He knew maybe that he didn't have the victim's blood in his Bronco and they had hair and fibers, his hair and fibers would be found at the scene. But what a lot of people have forgotten, which was never explained, which I'm not surprised, but there was hair from the dog that lived at O.J. Simpson's home found in Ron Goldman's apartment. Now, that's the one I never figured out, and I probably will never know. I always wondered how the hair from O.J. Simpson's Black Akita wound up in Ron Goldman's apartment. That's the part I never understood.
Well, for the first time in our series of conversations, I'm going to vehemently disagree with you on that point. I think you were quite mistaken about it, because one of the points was they never really did any investigative work in Ron Goldman's apartment. It was his sister or mother or something like that got his clothes from the apartment. The police never really went there.
Oh, no, I have to correct you, Mr. Bob. This is the one time, King, that you are wrong, and all kings are allowed to make mistakes. But the hair and fiber guy from the FBI was asked on cross-examination by Peter Neufeld if there was any other evidence found in Ron Goldman's home that could be found at any of the other 2 crime scenes. And he testified, the only other thing that we found in Ron Goldman's home, and he said this is pretty peculiar to me, is that there was a dark dog hair consistent with the dog of O.J. Simpson's, well, I can't remember the name of this dog, consistent with the dog that he had at his home. And that did actually happen. And if you like, I mean, if you wanted to go there, I could dig up through my mom's tapes, because she's taped everything, and I could find out exactly what it was. But that did come out. And that
How dare I challenge you?
That's
right. What a silly man I am.
I mean, Bob, believe me, before I lie or I don't know...
Well, I didn't suggest you were lying. I suggested you were mistaken, because I was under the impression that was a point that was made by the defense, is that they never really went to Goldman's apartment.
Oh, no. See, that was back when they were talking about how both dogs were in O.J.'s Bronco and both dogs were in Nicole's Jeep, and that Ron Goldman's shirt at the scene had Cato the dog's hair on it. It also had the dog from O.J.'s house, had his hair on it, and supposedly had O.J.'s Jeep fibers on it, and that's what all came out on the direct. And Mr. Neufeld brought out as well that when they went back to Ron Goldman's apartment, there wasn't any hair from O.J. Simpson or his Bronco, but there was hair from his dog that lived at his home, and I cannot remember the name of that dog for the life of me. There was also hair, I mean, you might remember this, there was hair from O.J. Simpson's cat. He had a cat. There were cat hairs in Ron Goldman's home that were consistent with the cat that O.J. Simpson owned before it died. So obviously, something was weird there where they said Ron Goldman and Nicole had met like a month before. It's possible he carried those hairs home from Nicole's, and he might have picked the O.J.'s dog hairs up in her Jeep or something like that. But, I mean, and we're getting off the subject because who really cares? Unfortunately, that man when he was murdered, he was the same age I was. He was 25 years old. He hadn't even reached the prime of his life. He had just broken up with his girlfriend. He hadn't even met his one true love, and he never will. Nicole Brown Simpson, she made it to 35 or 36. Her life was really not, her own. She hadn't really figured out what she wanted to do. She just broke it off with her boyfriend, ex-husband, for like the third or fourth time since their divorce, and she was slain. And I said all along, if O.J. didn't kill these two people, O.J. knew who did, but he was in no position to speak out and talk about it with his family and children being at risk. And I honestly believe that before this man would give those people up, that he'd keep his mouth closed to protect his children. Because the one thing I noticed, you can say what you want about O.J., but O.J. did one thing in that courtroom. He did not allow his attorneys to badger and slander his ex-wife. There's a lot of things they could have come out about Nicole's lifestyle, and none of that came out in court. Because O.J. Simpson, I have to believe, would not allow it. And so, you know, he had a lot to lose. But, you know, when I sat there, Bob, and isn't it ironic? This all started with a slow-speed chase, and it all ends with a slow-speed chase in a van. The helicopters follow him back to his home, and there's Al Cowlings to hug him, and there's Kathy Ramba, and there's Robert Kardashian. And I was sitting there like, man, I know I'm dreaming, and I'm going to wake up tomorrow, and I just been in this hibernation. Because this is just, Bob, you couldn't have written a better story.
Oh, God, no. No one could have. No, I didn't feel confident until the final juror had been polled on the second count. I kept expecting, with this bizarre trial, I kept expecting something, anything. No, I'm not sure about that. I don't know. Judge, could we go back and talk about anything?
Oh, you want to talk about feelings, Bob? Picture this. Imagine me, after getting off the phone yesterday from talking to you and Sharon, 20 minutes later, I'm flipping channels and I hear a verdict's been reached in less than 4 hours. And I'm sitting there like, how do you deliberate a 9-month trial in 3 hours? And I said to myself, these people have absolutely had to have not bought the prosecution's case.
Or the defense's.
Oh, well, I couldn't say that, because if you're going to convict somebody of murder and send them away for life, you'd have to put more than 3 hours in it, or you'd be criticized for the rest of your life for sending somebody up the road. I mean, take a day or 2 days, but not 3 hours. You never do that to someone in 3 hours, unless there was eyewitnesses and video, or the witnesses were credible, or this was like a month trial. I could see that happening in a 1-month trial, but in a 9-month case that was drawn out over 200 witnesses and 90,000 pages of transcript, when I heard that, I told my mom, I said, you know, they must have been listening to Alan Park's testimony to get about this timeline thing. And I said, I have to believe it was a not guilty verdict. But then I started thinking, maybe they did come back with a guilty verdict, and I'll tell you when that happened. When the judge asked O.J. Simpson to stand up and to face the jury, and O.J. Simpson faced the jury, and the man bit his lip, and Johnny Cochran had been sitting down with his hands in front of him like he was praying. And then when I heard, oh God, what's the little fat black lady in the background? What's her name? I can't.
Oh, the clerk?
Yeah.
Mrs. Robinson.
Yeah, Mrs. Robinson. When Mrs. Robinson started reading out, and I'm listening, Bob, I'm not on trial, and my heart started racing.
Oh, mine too.
Adrenaline started pumping through me. And I'm sitting there, not for guilt or for innocence, but the fact that this trial was ending. And now I'm going to have to do more work at work, Bob. I'm not going to be able to slack off, go sneak around the corner and listen to O.J. I have
those books coming out we can read.
Hey, Bob, let me tell you something. I'm not buying one book unless it's for charity.
I want to know what the turning point was for each and every one of those 12 people. I want to know.
Well, how are you going to find out? I've got too
damn much time. Well, from their books, hopefully. Well, I've got too damn much time tied up in this sucker. I want to know what they bought, what they didn't buy, and what they finally, caused them to throw their hands up and shout bull crap.
I think California has a better education system than Florida because, these jurors are pretty smart. The judge comes out there and tells the attorney that the jury has all got together and signed some pieces of paper saying they don't want to talk to you after the verdict's read, and they don't want to talk to the media either. So they don't want to be bothered. More or less, that's what he said. And I'm sitting there like, they're rendering a verdict, and they're telling the attorneys on both sides that they don't want to talk to them? I'm sitting there like, whoa, what's going on here? Did somebody get their arm twisted back there in that room? Apparently not, if it only took 3 hours. And this one black lady who was the foreman, who I had heard all along, she was pro-prosecution.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there, what happened to the 61-year-old white lady who was pro-prosecution? The one who turned a whole jury to her side. The one the defense actually wasted her time trying to throw off the case because she needed $1,500 for. Just imagine they'd have thrown her off and one of those other two black guys sitting over there went the other way.
I know, dude. I know. Hey, well, I'll share my books with you. You don't have to buy them. After I read them, I'll give them to you, okay?
No problem.
Okay.
Sharon?
Yeah. Is this resolved for you, Tyrone?
Sharon?
Is it? Is it all over?
Sharon, you know, unfortunately, we will never know the answer. But I'm just going to have to accept this verdict. The one thing you can be sure of, after O.J. Simpson does his one pay-per-view thing and makes $100 gazillion million, we'll never hear about O.J. Simpson again, except every year on June 12th and June 13th and on October the 3rd. All right, you guys have a good day. Jeffy, take it easy, my man.
Be good. It's 4:38.
Catch Tampa Bay Lightning hockey action all season on AM 620 WSUN, entertaining talk radio.
It's the biggest fireworks sale in history. Those peace-loving wimps in Congress have lowered the boom on the U.S. Army. Their budget cuts make it necessary to liquidate our military stockpiles. Yes, we've got armaments out the blowhole. High-explosive mortar shells, flares, torpedoes, incendiary bombs, mustard, and nerve gas. You can put on a backyard fireworks display that'll show up on radar. Remember how much fun it was to drop a cherry bomb down a toilet? Now you can wipe out your entire metropolitan sewer system. So visit the U.S. Army fireworks stand nearest you and put some firepower into your fort. Goggles, earplugs, and hard hats sold separately.
Guns are the answer. 4:42 the time, about 18 minutes away from the hour of 5 o'clock. What, Jeffy? What are you looking at me that way for? What did I do now?
A little slow on the figuring there, aren't you, King Lassiter?
I have a lot on my mind, Jeffy. Yeah. Let's go to a lady.
What would that be?
In Pinellas Park. Hi there, lady in Pinellas Park. You're on the air at WSUN.
Hi, Bob.
Hi.
Hi. I bravo or cheers to Tyrone. What a mind. What a great mind he has. Don't you think?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. My question to you, maybe you heard about it. Shortly after the verdict was read today, Mr. Garcetti, standing alongside Ron Goldman's father, said something to the effect that the case was essentially closed. Now, with a not guilty verdict, don't the police have a responsibility to continue to investigate that?
Well, yeah, he was, but he has nothing to do with the police. He was speaking insofar as the district attorney's office is concerned. It is, an open case as far as the police are concerned, and until they file charges or ask the district attorney to file charges, then there's nothing, that the district attorney has to do with it.
Right. Okay. That's what it looked peculiar, seeing that poor guy standing next to Mr. Garcetti.
Yeah, I don't understand why Garcetti wasted his time with a news conference. He should have been working on his resume as opposed to insulting the intelligence of everyone and, frankly, conducting a very distasteful news conference.
I agree with you on that one, and I was way back when we first started talking about, I think back when the very first 911 tapes were played last summer. I called you and told you that whatever the outcome is, that we should be very ashamed of ourselves.
Yes, we should.
I don't know if you remember that or not.
No, I don't recall your telephone call in particular, but you see, I'm opposed to violence. I'm opposed to violence in any shape, manner, or form, and I just don't. And I'm also opposed to kidding ourselves. And the fact of the matter is, we do not find it that bizarre in this country to hit other people that we disagree with. We don't find it that bizarre at all. If they get a terribly big gash and or should fall down and kill themselves, then we get all, oh my goodness. But it is generally accepted in this country that if you disagree with someone or it might be, it's okay to hit them. This attitude has to stop. No, it's not all right to hit somebody. It's never all right. And it should never be a minor offense.
That's correct. I agree with that.
Man versus woman. Frankly, woman versus man. Nobody's got a right to hit me.
Oh, absolutely. But my point being that that particular subject didn't belong in that courtroom at that time. A lot of this, most of what they talked about didn't belong in that courtroom.
Well, maybe let's play wild, hopeless optimist here. Maybe this will bring a far greater understanding and a far greater meaningful debate about genuine domestic violence to the forefront in this country, and maybe we'll take it a hell of a lot more seriously and not tolerate it in any shape, manner, or form in the future.
Absolutely.
Maybe.
And also, maybe it will help us all take a look at our judicial system.
And then maybe the deaths of Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown Simpson won't be quite as meaningless as they are today.
Correct.
Maybe.
I agree with you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bob.
Hey, be good.
You too.
It's 4:46.
AM 620 WSUN. Don't ask, don't tell.
You're so damn obstinate, you bastard.
Bill doesn't have a clue. We dare to call him leader. Does he really care about those rolls of fat? But something's not complete since 92 in November. Yeah. 'Cause his wild white cheese is our mind. And everything seems so discreet. But she's lying through his teeth. People catching them cheat. They're just denying. Suing. Hillary is calling.
Welcome back, Fun Seekers. 10 minutes away from the hour. 5 o'clock works out to about 4:50, if memory serves me. Let's do a cell phone in St. Pete Beach. Hi there, Cell. You're on the air at WSUN.
Hello, King Mad Dog.
Hi there, cell phone.
I solved this heinous crime. I have the solution, and that is they killed each other. And then Cato the dog ran away with a knife. Sounds pretty good to me.
He's paying for this call.
And one more thing.
Nah. Let's do Tampa. Hi, Tampa. You're on the air at WSUN.
Hey, Bob. How are you?
Doing fine.
Good. Thanks for taking my call. I just have a real quick comment to make. It seems like the opinions that are expressed by all these people who are upset about the not guilty verdict, they're not saying that it's not guilty that this crime didn't happen. They're just saying that O.J. Simpson didn't do it. And these people seem to be all complaining, oh, you're saying that this thing didn't happen or whatever. They're all bawling over spilled milk. They're not saying the crime didn't happen. Of course the crime happened. It's just that O.J. Simpson didn't do it. And it just seems to piss me off a little that, they're all whining and crying and saying there's a travesty of justice. They're not saying the crime didn't happen.
Well, first of all, we have people who are upset by the verdict who basically break down into two categories, okay? Mm-hmm. The one category are people who just are not comfortable with the verdict, who, for whatever reason, misguided souls like Sharon.
Now you're making a mistake. I'm not upset with the verdict. It is the verdict I expected them to make. It's the only verdict they could have come back with the evidence they were presented with.
Misguided souls, unlike Sharon, who, for whatever reason, heard the evidence differently than I heard it. That's one category of people. Then we have another category of people. And I don't really know what percentage of the audience, of the population this category is, but so long as there's one out there, it's intolerable, and obviously it's more than one, who are very, very distraught they didn't get the nigger.
Yeah. But
that's a real travesty.
Which it is. And, but nobody has ever said that the crime didn't happen. They're just saying that the evidence shows that O.J. Simpson didn't do it, and I think now we need to turn our focus to find out what we did.
Maybe you misspoke, but let me correct you, and if you didn't misspeak, then correct me. Mm-hmm. The evidence does not show that O.J. Simpson didn't do it. the evidence doesn't show that O.J. Simpson did do it. There's a real big difference here.
Well,
maybe you misspoke, but there's a real big difference.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
You're right. Thanks for taking my call, Bob.
Hey, be good.
Hey, have a good day.
See, somewhere... No, I shouldn't do that.
What?
Because they're all good people. They're all nice people. Somewhere, somebody on
I'm
a
good and
television...
nice. It never stops you with me.
No, it has nothing to do with that. Somewhere, somebody on a television talk show said at one time, "Thanks for taking my call, Geraldo. Thanks for taking my..." And an awful lot of people think that that is proper etiquette.
They don't have to do that.
Because we've had a lot of people in the last several days who are not normal callers, but who apparently listen to and watch, call-in shows, and have started the conversation in that way, which I always found strange. I get paid by the call. Let's go to Clearwater. Hi, Clear. You're on the air at WSUN.
Hello, Bob. How you doing?
Doing fine, dude.
Doing good. Well, listen. I'm just amazed that everyone who calls in and says that the evidence didn't show that O.J. Simpson did not do the crime. I don't know. Maybe I was watching a different trial than everyone else. I thought that the evidence clearly showed that O.J. Simpson did the crime, and I'm just amazed that people actually call in and say that he didn't.
Well, then how come you didn't hear the part of the trial where there was problem with all of the evidence?
I just switched phones here, but I'm sorry. Go ahead.
How come you didn't hear the part of the trial that indicated that there was a problem with all of the evidence?
Well, I certainly think that you as a jury member, you have to take into account that perhaps some of the evidence it could have been tampered with, and taking that.
Well, whenever the prosecutor presents a piece of evidence that has been tampered with, and the prosecutor should know in advance that that evidence was tampered with, then it makes all of the evidence suspect.
Well, but it was never proven. See, that's what we keep saying. Well, it was not proven that O.J. Simpson's guilty. Well, it's never been proven that the evidence has been tampered with. So, and I think that people are just going off on wild speculations. Oh, Furman, he dropped the glove because he used the N-word.
Let me see if I can give you an example here of the socks with Nicole's blood on them. The police picked them up the day of the crime, looked at them, I believe, twice, possibly 3 times, said, nothing here. Then, a little more than 2 months later, miraculously discovered Nicole's blood on the socks, and gave as an excuse that, well, the drops were so small and the socks so dark, we could only see it under high-power magnification. 2 people who are absolutely unimpeachable, Henry Lee being one of them, I forget the name of the other dude, said, that's not true. All you had to do was hold them up to the light. You could see the blood.
Well, and certainly that may be the case, but
that may be the case, and the prosecution knew that.
Well,
and still presented the evidence, and still presented the bogus story about, you can only see it under high magnification.
And it really irritates me that so many people are coming down the prosecution. They have so much media attention on them, because this is such a high-profile case. I mean, we don't know anything about Christopher Darden or Marcia Clark. We don't. These people did the best that they could.
Oh no, I beg your pardon. We know a great deal about Christopher Darden and Marcia Clark. For example, we know that Marcia Clark, not once but twice, absolutely lied to her teeth about not knowing that Furman had problems.
Well, my friend, if you think that Johnny Cochran and all the rest of those people actually think that O.J. Simpson's innocent and they are getting paid to lie, if you don't think that they're getting paid to lie, there's a problem.
Excuse me, you're psychic. You know that they know that they know he's a. But then again, if you believe that evidence had been played with anyway, so what? But to the best of my knowledge, that is the only incriminating evidence against O.J. that they didn't get to hear. There were a hell of a lot of things that were potentially exculpatory, I believe is the word, that they didn't get to hear, and that I'd be pissed about.
When the jury took such a short time, I won $100. I called up everybody I could and bet him $20 because I knew that he was found innocent. Because all you have to have is one reasonable doubt. And granted, they're not supposed to think about the trial until all evidence is presented. That's the only way they could have figured it out so quick, was to have one reasonable doubt. Because to prove him guilty, they would have had to go through everything. It would have just taken forever. But if you have a doubt, and you've had that maybe for 2 months, and everybody has the same doubt or same 2 or 3 doubts, then it's pretty quick, open, closed case.
Hey, thanks much, dude.
All right.
Be good.
Bye.
One thing, I will feel vindicated for all the time I have spent on this. The one thing that I really, really, really want to hear is whether or not Marcia's final exhibit, this pyramid of unrefuted evidence, where I thought there was such a sore thumb on the first level. You know, at 9:35 they did this, and at 10:02 they did this, and at 10:17 they did this. Oh, by the way, somebody said they saw the Bronco pulling away. No time on that. And then at 10:52, there was a thumping on the wall. I just thought, Marcia, you're pointing out that evidence doesn't fit your damn story by not putting the time there. For God's sake, take a chance and put the time up, and, maybe they'll not notice. But by not putting the time on that one little block, I thought, whoa. And I wonder if that had anything to do with them coming back and listening to Park's testimony again.
Or, as that nice Kara Bauer pointed out this morning, we were all gathered in the newsroom waiting for the verdict.
Decent woman she is.
Yes,
a polite woman to her elders.
She said, maybe the jury just wanted to screw with him. Shake them up. Just pick out something totally off the wall. Can we hear that again? And
well, of course, I just hit my car last night as the announcement of the verdict was hitting the air.
Yep.
And so I'm driving home the whole time, and I'm just dying 1,000 deaths. Just dying because it looks so bad. Then I get home and I find out they didn't look at him. Oh, God. Oh, Jesus. Oh, this is it. Throw away the key. Oh, God. Oh, here, another cause I've taken on where I'm wrong. Oh, Jesus.
No. I knew last night, as soon as I heard that verdict came down that early.
And then watching
not guilty.
Watching the mouthpieces on Geraldo last night, who were just in a state of shock. They didn't know. None of them knew what in the hell to say, but they had 2 hours in which they had to say it.
Oh, it was bad enough.
Just
I had to watch
back and forth.
Leading up to it. That was enough. Greta and what's his name?
Watch it.
Well,
I mean, granted, I do have Kathleen Sullivan now, but just watch it. I'm very protective of my old girlfriends. It's 5:16.
Your antlers.
Hello, this is Gary Spivey, Psychic to the Stars, and remember, I come on right after Bob Lassiter from 6 to 8 p.m. here on AM 620 WSUN. Now, back to my sales manager at Spivey's Corner, Mr. Bob Lassiter.
You're so damn obstinate, you bastard.
During National Car Care Month, some stations will give you free rust-proofing, free auto detailing, free car washes.
But this station is going to go them one better.
Because we're going to take total care of your car.
Just like it was our very own.
Just be the 10th caller when you hear this sound. And we'll borrow your car, tear up the upholstery, put out cigarettes on the dash, get drunk, and throw up in the back seat. And then sideswipe parked cars and other stationary objects in a high-speed police chase culminating in a devastating smash headlong into a brick wall.
And that should pretty much take care of your car.
Employees of this station are not eligible to have their cars taken care of because, frankly, we don't pay them anywhere near enough to own their own cars in the first place.
We're going to take total care of your car.
Because we're going to totally.
Keep listening for your chance to win.
21 minutes after the hour of 5 o'clock. Okay, so the best thing about the verdict being in, and the one thing that really, really, really pleases me is that tonight I will finally find out where that angel that I share my house with stands on this.
She hasn't said one way.
I honestly don't know.
Don't you even talk to her?
We talked. She brought it up this morning. We spent the entire morning talking about it. And she frequently brings it up. I frequently bring it up as well. But if I'm in the room and I'm watching trial coverage, then she is glued to the television and comments, too. But I have only, in the entire time the trial has been on, which is, a year. In the entire time it's been on, I have only caught her watching independently once. And several times I've asked her, and all she does is she kind of purses her lips together, I think that's the word, and shakes her head. And so tonight I'm going to demand.
She probably feels,
I want some answers.
Feels you have opinion enough for the both of you. That's probably what she feels.
She is a good woman. Let's go to Zephyr Hills. Hi, Zephyr. You're on the air at WSUN.
Good afternoon, soon to be king.
Good afternoon, sir.
How are you doing today?
Excellent, thank you.
Good. If we may, let's get away from the fact that the trial is over now. and rehashing it is not going to do any good. O.J. is a free man, and whether or not he did it is now kind of a moot point. Do you have any thoughts on how this is going to affect his future life as far as his occupation?
Oh, well, his days as being a football commentator and a spokesman for large corporations are clearly over, which I totally understand. A certain segment of the population will never, ever, ever believe that he's innocent, and consequently ain't nobody's going to want his product associated with O.J. Simpson. That's understandable.
Do you think that is going to also hold true for his movie career?
In all probability, sure, because movies are financed by banks. And I would be very, very, usually, I'm sure there are exceptions, but I would be stunned if, a major bank wanted to, again, have their good name affiliated with somebody that a lot of people think is guilty of murder. And on top of that, he's not going to need it. O.J. is going to do okay financially. Don't worry about it. He'll get all of his money back, plus a lot more. He will just spend the rest of his life basically as a recluse.
I kind of tend to disagree to a certain point on that. And that's based on the fact that our society tends to accept certain criminals, or non-criminals in his case, and almost make them heroes again.
It all kind of depends on just how much of an egotist he is. This may come as a great surprise to you, but by and large, being a celebrity is not fun. It just pays terribly, terribly well, and so you put up with it. But I would venture a guess, and it's nothing more than a guess. Obviously, I've not queried all of celebrities in the world, but I would venture a guess that the vast majority of quote-unquote celebrities would be thrilled to disappear into the woodwork so long as they continue to have the same income.
Yeah, I'll agree with you 100% on that.
It's not fun.
Their lives are far more complicated than ours. I mean, they can't walk the streets like we can, and they can't eat at restaurants like, well, not you. I'm sorry, King. Not like I can. But still, with this way our society is, the Mike Tysons and what's the mayor up in Washington, Marion Barry?
Right.
Even after being convicted and shown to be a lawbreaker, these people still come back into our society and go back into their life. In O.J.'s case, here's a man who was found innocent or not guilty, not convicted by a jury of his peers. And although I do agree that he may have a very tough time, it may just be that there's enough controversy in him that he becomes a symbol again.
I just don't see who would, who would touch him, though. Who's going to finance this? You know how I feel about this case. You probably know a hell of a lot more than you'd like to know about how I feel about this case. But I'm telling you that I'm also a businessman. And I am not going to go and get O.J. to, endorse Lassiter cereal or Lassiter's car rental company or anything like that. Pat him on the back and wish him good luck and tell him that I was, behind him all the way. Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. But when it comes to my pocketbook, a different story, O.J.
Well,
different story.
And again, I do think, though, and I appreciate what you're saying, but it may be the Chicago Bulls just traded for Dennis Rodman.
Right.
Extremely controversial figure.
Yes, but nobody suggested he butchered two people.
No.
Just that he's an asshole.
Right. But O.J. is an innocent man. And wouldn't it be a plum in somebody's fruit basket to take O.J. and get him back into society where people can, again, if they enjoy his acting ability, if you want to call it that, or his commercial.
Let's say you're the chairman of the board of Hertz Rent-A-Car.
Okay.
And you decide that this was really a travesty. I really like the guy. He did a great job for us. Let's rehire him.
Okay.
The first thing that's going to happen is your personal attorney is going to get you on the phone. And he's going to say, "Are you crazy?"
I might tell him yes.
Well, now he's going to start talking realistically to you. And he's going to say, "What if the profits drop 20% next year? The shareholders are going to sue you personally and they're going to win."
What if the profits go up?
It's not worth the risk.
Well, that's debatable.
And on top of that, every time I see a Hertz commercial in the future with O.J. jumping over the chairs at the airport, let's be honest here. What is the first thing that's going to go through your mind? Oh, what a fine company Hertz is. That's the guy they said killed his wife. No. You don't want your company or product associated with that.
Then am I reading into this that you think, and maybe yourself thinks the same way, that a majority, or at least a lot of the people in the United States or in the world think that O.J. might have done it, but got off on whatever technicalities you want to say? Well, there's still that lingering doubt.
Well, you know
nobody's been found.
You know what the polls are, and the polls are very, very clear that a significant number of the American people, a very significant number of white people, believed, and probably still do today, that O.J. was guilty.
Right. And that belief will never leave them.
You know, we can sit here and intellectualize for the rest of the afternoon and all day tomorrow and the day after that why their thinking may well be flawed, but that doesn't make any difference if their thinking is flawed. Not when it comes to, hiring him to endorse your company.
Right. Okay, I just...
Oh, no, that end of his life is over. But just the mere suspicion, nobody's going to touch you. I don't know if you remember, or even if you heard the show, it was a couple of weeks ago, but I was talking about, we were talking about a racist cop. And, I had mentioned that, racism is in of itself irrational, and so therefore irrational behavior on the part of a racist should frankly not be any great surprise to you. And I had used myself as an example. Suppose, my wife had been brutally murdered. I've got an airtight alibi. I'm in Paris. I can prove it. But some crazy black cop who's a white racist dropped some evidence linking me to the crime. Well, first of all, it's going to be, it's going to cost me some money to get out of it.
Right.
But worse than that, forever and ever and ever as a public person, people will remember. I'm going to be called into the general manager's office and told that they really feel bad about this, but they can't have me, affiliated with the station. Directors and advertisers and listeners are calling and complaining. No, you destroy a public person with any type of a suggestion like that. Marion Barry that you brought up, that's a different story. That's politics. He's not an entertainer.
Let's
What's
more important?
Well, I don't know if you're a boxing fan or not, and if so, I'm going to insult you horribly here, but let's face it, people that go and watch two other people try to kill each other in the middle of a ring, what are they going to worry about? Rape, schmape, who cares,
Yeah.
No, we're talking about good, wholesome family entertainment here in the case of O.J. Simpson. Maybe somebody will hire him to do a porno flick or something. But, he ain't going to go work for Disney.
Well, just as a parting comment, I can't help but think that our society is obviously warped, but it's really in bad shape if we don't accept the fact that a man can go to trial and be found not guilty and then go back into society and become a useful human being again. And that's pretty much what I hear you saying.
Well,
that our society just won't let it happen.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
Because, first of all, you can never prove yourself innocent. I was going to jump on this a little bit earlier in the conversation when you used interchangeably not guilty, innocent.
Mm-hmm.
You can never prove yourself innocent. All you can do is be found not guilty.
Yeah.
And that is sufficient reason to hold it against you for a lot of people. Okay?
Appreciate it much.
Hey,
and take care of Miss Sharon. Be nice to her. At least one day this week. Be nice to her.
At least once.
Okay, Saturday.
Something different.
No, not Saturday. This
Saturday.
week on the show.
Oh, no, wait a second. Now you're making a second request. I only grant one request per caller. You said one day to be nice to her.
Yeah.
It's Saturday.
Okay, I'll get you next week then.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. It's 5:31. WSUN, entertaining talk radio. 5:35, the time about 25 minutes away from the hour of 6 o'clock. Okay, Sharon, I'll honor your request. You just remember that now, honey.
Bobby.
Just remember that.
I love you too.
No, you owe me, Sharon. Let's go to... Sharon was just talking about something off the air that, as she heard the theme music coming back, she suddenly realized she shouldn't have been talking about and was begging and pleading, offering to fulfill any fantasy I might have, do any chore that might need, being done.
Oh, God. I'll grow antlers for you, Bobby.
Won't be necessary, Sherry. Just remember this.
Thanks, Hurricane. Yeah, out there in the fall.
Let's go to St. Petersburg. Hi, St. You're on the air at WSUN.
Yes, Mr. Lassiter.
Yes, sir.
This is my first time.
All right. There you go.
I wanted to bring something to your attention, and when individuals have been calling, they've been saying about O.J. Super Bowl ring. O.J. don't have a Super Bowl ring.
That's true.
Oh, okay, I didn't want to clear that part up.
Actually, I don't think
that's
it was...
the Hall of Fame ring.
I don't think it was callers that said that. I believe I am the one who have said that at least a half a dozen times, probably more. And I am the one who keeps bringing it up and the one who is incorrect.
Okay.
You're correct. Hall of Fame ring.
Right, that was a Hall of Fame ring. Another thing you were saying about you're saying he don't have a job. Of coming out and doing certain sports commentation.
Right.
I'm looking, and I wouldn't bet you a quarter on the side. Not this year. If this year, at the end of the season, next year, look for him to be on Fox.
Well, I can't sit here and tell you for sure no. All I can tell you is that everything I know about my business says no way. But stranger things have happened, haven't they?
And then again, another thing also, he's one of the last three contenders for the job. Look what kind of free advertisement he'll get if he gets the job at South Florida as head coach. Free advertisement.
Yes, it would be free advertising, but there's lots of free advertising that a lot of establishments do not want.
But they don't have the officials there. That's the athletic director, Leroy Selma. I'm just using for example, But I'm just saying, if he come in this area, could this area put up with that, with O.J.?
Well, again, stranger things have happened. I'm no longer, if there's anything involved in this case, even remotely, I am just not about to say, no, it can't happen. So you may be right, dude.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you. 576 WSUN in Pinellas and Hillsborough, too. I'm serious. I wanted to hear the polling of the jury before I let out a breath. I mean, just hearing the clerk say, not guilty. I was not until they went through the jury twice, just on that bizarre chance that one of them said, well, I don't know.
You were really surprised at the verdict? Were you really?
Oh, yeah, I was stunned. Yeah, I didn't expect it. I thought they're coming back guilty. After the testimony that they asked to be read yesterday, I heard both sides, give their excuses for why the jury had requested it, but I didn't think up until yesterday that a guilty verdict was possible. Nor did I really think an acquittal was likely. I thought, you got 12 people, and I'm listening to everybody else out there. I know how my mind works. I also have a pretty fair idea how the average guy's mind works, and I would not have been at all surprised if 2 or 3 or 5 or 6 of those 12 said, no way, no, we're not voting not guilty. We don't care about the problems with the evidence. We don't care. Who was I walking across the driveway? Tell me that. No. So I expected, at best, really, a hung jury. I thought up until yesterday, if there was a verdict, it would be an acquittal, but I never thought until yesterday, when I got out in that car and I heard what those people asked for, and then they came right back with, okay, we got a verdict. I'd bet my paycheck on it. Thank God there's nobody else in the car. I'd be out of paycheck.
Darn. I would have bet against you on it. I didn't think they would be able to reach a verdict that quickly if they were going to send someone to prison for the rest of his life.
No, I did
it would
something
take longer than that.
I did something today. I'm hard-pressed to think when I've ever done anything like this. I didn't leave the house until about 35 minutes before showtime.
Oh, yeah?
Because I wanted to see it.
You watched it at home?
Oh, yeah. Yes, and I wanted to see it without any commotion or without any interruption or anything like that. And I wanted to hear everything, and I didn't. So I stayed home and gambled that I'd get here on time. And for me, arriving, late for a radio show is an unforgivable sin. Unforgivable. It's something that only once in 25 years
Jeffrey and I would have
has happened, and on top of that, nobody ever knew because I got there literally just in the nick of time, and I was getting back in music days. But for this stuff, I'm here always at least an hour ahead of time.
Yeah.
And sometimes more than that. And I just sit there. It's not like I'm doing something. I just sit there trying to get my head into the right frame of mind to go in and make an ass of myself for 4 hours. Let's go to his cell phone. Hi, Cell. You're on the air at WSUN.
How you doing, Bobby?
Doing great.
Hey, Sharon.
Hey.
Bobby, it's a stupid question, but it's really bothering me, Let's say down the line they find the knife that's got OJ's fingerprints all over it, and they find, and they find the suit full of the blood and all that. They can't retry that man, can they?
Nope. No, he could take them tonight and show them where it is, and there's nothing they can do about it.
I'm glad he got off, but that just doesn't make sense to me. If he'd have been found guilty, they could have appealed it.
That's correct.
But if he's found innocent,
the state only gets one shot at you. You shall not, constitutional guarantee, you shall not be placed in jeopardy twice.
Is that the double jeopardy
that's what it is.
I heard something about? Okay.
That's right.
So no matter what now, he's...
Well, the thinking behind it, the logic behind it is the state has such incredible resources, and you are at such an incredible disadvantage when the state decides to come against you, that if they can't prove... They only get one shot to prove it, and if they can't prove it in one shot, then it's just too damn bad. They shouldn't have come at you.
Right. That one puzzled me. All right, Bobby. Well, I want to thank you for keeping us informed because I worked during the day, so I haven't had a chance to watch it. You really made me think a lot.
Well, okay, that's what it's all about.
All right, so you guys have a good day.
Hey, you too.
All right, Bobby.
Be good.
Yeah.
It's one of the very few constitutional guarantees outside of what I just told him that I don't quite understand. If he should now jump up and down and say, yeah, I did do it. There's nothing they can do against him. I do understand not reopening the investigation and going after him again. That I understand. But he could literally go to the courthouse steps tonight and say, gotcha. And there's nothing anybody can do.
Could be thinking that.
Oh, Sharon.
Could be.
God almighty. It's 4:43.
Electrifying. It's Tampa Bay Lightning hockey action all season long on AM 620 WSUN, entertaining talk radio.
You're so damn obstinate, you bastard.
If you're over the age of 65, listen up. There's a new medical coverage that can save you up to $200 a month. It's called Senior Secure Plus.
I had a Senior Secure Plus plan. And all I pay is a fee of $5 for the month. And it doesn't do the emergency room visits I don't pay. And I don't pay the co-pays at the doctor's office. And it's a good plan. I had a gallbladder surgery. And my son and his wife, they took me to the hospital. And they said, hey, you want us to get you anything? And I said, yeah, I want to go home. And then they laughed at me in my face. And the doctor, he come in and he started grabbing and poking me. And he said, cut it out, you bastard. He said, not now, old man. You go put it on there.
Call Senior Secure today for your free brochure and membership information. Remember, only $5 a month to feel secure.
Sharon, was that a subtle way of telling me that you think I play that too much? Sharon was sitting over here mouthing the words.
I love it. It just went perfectly with that little... It's a damn obstinate bastard.
Let's go to Brandon. Hi, Brandon. You're on the air at WSUN.
Hey, Bob. Hey, Sharon.
Hi.
I'm kind of looking for a 20-step program to go through now that there's no O.J. trial for me to watch when I get home.
Yeah, Bob. I know.
Given the fact that now he's not guilty, everything's said and done. Going back to the original issue that the prosecution wanted to bring out in the trial, the domestic violence issue, him being, as they called it, quote-unquote, wife beater in the past, and he admitted to doing it, does not make him a murderer, and I agree with that. It doesn't make him a murderer. It is unfortunate, though, at 30 years old, she had to get a safety deposit box and put pictures of her beaten face in there and tell her sister or whoever it was she told, one day he's going to kill me. It's unfortunate that happened.
It's a tragedy, and it's so goddamn common in this country.
Right. Another thing is, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong on this. I'm not sure. I just heard one of the armchair lawyer quarterbacks there on the radio after the verdict on the way home say something to the effect that if there was a wrongful death suit pursued, O.J. would be required to take the stand, and that if he would take the Fifth Amendment once he got up there, it can be used to consider the credibility of his testimony.
No, my understanding is he cannot be required to take the stand, but he can be compelled to give a deposition.
Okay.
But during the actual trial itself, nobody can be compelled to give testimony against themselves in a court of law, but you can apparently, at least in California anyway, be compelled to give a deposition, which I find bizarre.
Right. Well, again, that was about it. It's a shame that she had to live her. Granted, even if O.J. didn't kill her, it's a shame she lived her life the way she did. And poor Ron, wrong place, wrong time. But anyway, great show, Frost.
Thank you, dude. It's a tragedy that the lifestyle that they led is not an uncommon one. It's a tragedy that there are an awful lot of couples in this country that apparently don't quite understand what being married and being together is really all about, and just on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Things that trouble me very, very much with my fellow man and male-female relationships in this country, and as well as something again I mentioned earlier today that. I don't care what kind of lip service we pay it, that by and large in this country, we just don't find it that wrong that, you hit somebody when you disagree with them. That bothers me. Let's do Valrico. Hi, Valrico. You're on the air at WSUN.
Good afternoon, Your Majesty.
Good afternoon, Val.
Hi, Sherry.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm just fine.
Are you sure? You sound a little distraught.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah, okay.
I'm all right.
Well, Bob?
Yes,
sir. I just wanted to call and let you know that, I wasn't completely glued to you today during your show because I knew pretty much what you were going to have to say. But I wasn't shocked by the guilty verdict, or the not guilty verdict. When they came back that quickly, I just said, oh, boy, it's over. And I was at Edwards Piping Tobacco when the verdict came down.
Yeah.
There was an angry room full of white men when that verdict came down. And I got the hell out of there before I made the big mistake of opening my mouth.
Good, smart thing to do, dude.
Because they were all one hell of a lot bigger than me.
Yeah, it's one thing to sit safely in your studio and say these things. It's quite another to hang around with the boys and say it.
Oh, yeah, man. But I think that the only reason, it could be Tara Bauer's right. Maybe they just wanted to screw with him. But I think that the only reason they needed to look at the tape was because the answer was the same to the prosecution as it was to the defense on what time and what he said about the Bronco not being there.
Right.
And that's all they really needed to see, because they remembered, what he said, but I think they wanted to find out the context in which he said it.
Could well be. Again, one more time, I'm mildly miffed that I'm going to have to wait months to find out why the jury did what they did. Unless one of them decides to, talk for free, which is, I don't think, very likely. I'm sure that all of them have been contacted by at least 27 literary agents and 400 lawyers each by now. Hell, it's been, 6 hours?
And if each and every one of them doesn't receive a basket of oranges and a dozen roses from Mr. Simpson, then he's a cad for sure.
At least an autographed O.J. Simpson card.
I better have an NFL football.
Yeah.
And an autograph on it.
You're right. You're right. An official NFL football, right? With and dated to make it really valuable.
Oh, yeah, that would be something, wouldn't it?
Exactly.
But, I know we're close to the end of your show, and I don't want to hog up a bunch of time, but I would like to make a donation to the Queen of Culinary Ineptitude next to you, if I could.
Oh, sure.
Okay, Sharon, you ready?
Yep, I got my pen.
You got your pen? Okay. 2 cans of Wolf brand chili without beans.
Wolf brand chili, gotcha.
Okay. You need 3 bags of the little Fritos, the little ones.
Okay.
You know, not the great big dip chip kinds, the little ones. You take the 2 cans of chili and 2 of those bags of Fritos. You mix them together with a half a cup of grated cheddar cheese. And then you top the rest of it with the other little bag of Fritos and another half a cup of grated cheddar cheese. Pop that puppy in the oven for 30 minutes at 300 degrees and enjoy.
Yeah, now tell her where she's got to get that Wolf brand chili.
Huh?
West Texas.
No, you can get Wolf brand chili. Certain grocery stores still carry it around here.
I've heard enough Wolf brand chili talk. Good day, sir.
I'll talk to you. Hey, by the way, Bob.
Yeah.
I have another theory about the crime, but I'll share it with you at a later date.
Please.
Frog.
Bye. What? I don't take calls off the air. You know that. Okay. Hello. What do you want? Oh, it's you. You got a lot of nerve. Oh, and you want me to play a song for you?
Who's that?
Okay, Marcia.
And now, the prosecution chorus.
Now, an AM 620 WSUN Traffic Patrol update. Here's Chris Walker.